Ezybooks is an easy-to-use bookkeeping system for small businesses. It's particularly aimed at tradies and other service providers such as instructors, teachers, consultants, IT contractors, etc. Designed for novice users, its spreadsheet style of data entry has been designed to be simple to use even for those with little or no bookkeeping experience. All income and expenditure is recorded, and professional looking sales invoices are easily created. To get started, there's some simple setup to do. The business setup screen records your name and address and allows you to customize the appearance of your invoices with the logo, font style, colors, scheme, etc. The next thing you have to do when setting up is specify your GST periods and whether you're accounting for GST on a cash or an accrual basis. Again, very simple to set up. You just choose whether you do your reporting monthly, quarterly or annually, and cash or accrual, and the system will create your GST periods accordingly. The next thing you need to set up is some bank accounts. There's no limit to the number of bank accounts that you can have, and these can be standard cheque or savings accounts, credit cards or petty cash. The next piece of setup is to create some heading codes. These codes are used to tag your income and expenditure so that the system knows how to treat them both from a tax perspective, but also it allows you to break down your spending into different categories so that you can analyze these from a management perspective. The system is provided with a list of standard expense codes from the ATO, so that, again, setup's very simple. You just pick the ones that you need and these are added to your list. Of course, you can always add your own codes as well, and again, there's no limit to the number of codes that you can have for analysis. Finally, we'll take a look at the customer and supplier setup screens. These are identical to one another. Now, you can actually create customer records as you're doing your data entry, so there's no need to set these up in advance, but just taking a look at this screen, as well as having their name and address and contact details, we can also have another additional features, such as being able to display their location on a map. Similarly, if I wanted to create a letter for that customer, one click would fire up Microsoft Word and create a letter already addressed to that customer. And the other useful thing I can do is add attachments to the record. So these might be other documents, they might be spreadsheets with quotes in them, they might be photos of work that I've done for that customer. It's all in one place. Okay, so let's have a look at data entry, and I'm going to create a new sales invoice. So to start off with, I can select the customer. The system will automatically find a match if I start to type in the name of that customer, and then I also want to confirm which bank account I'm using, and then pick the heading code that relates to the type of service that I'm charging that customer for. If I want to, I can enter a job code, which is an additional tag which we'll talk about later on, and I can also enter a description of the work and the amount. Now I can enter a direct figure, or in this case I actually want to enter, I did 3 days work at $800 a day, so I can enter 3 times 800 and the system will work out the total for me. If I then want to create an invoice for that customer, I literally just click on the preview button, the invoice is generated, and I can print the invoice out, I can save it as a PDF, or I can email it directly to the customer. So if I entered an email address for that customer in their setup, it will create an email, attach the PDF to it and send it to the customer. You'll see if I scroll down to the bottom here, that entry that I've just put in, and just to show you, I can also edit it in this list view. So I want to go and change the description here, I can edit it directly, or if I've got a big description, I can double click on that field and it will actually open up a larger description editor screen for me. Now recording purchases is a very similar approach, but in this case I'm going to actually record a purchase directly in this list view. So typically things like when I purchase some fuel for my car, I just want to put in a single line on an invoice. So I'm going to pick where I got the customer, the supplier I should say, select the heading code, so in this case it's a motoring expense. Again, I'm going to put in a description, and in this case I don't actually know the amount excluding GST, so I'm going to enter in the total I paid, and the system will automatically work out what the GST component of that is. Very, very quick and easy to do. Now the next thing I'm going to do is wind forward and say it's the end of my GST reporting period and I want to do a BAS. So I'm going to use the BAS wizard. So the first thing I would normally do once I've entered all my invoices and receipts for the period is check them off against the bank statement, and that just double checks my figures and the bank's got it right. The wizard will then come up with a list of all sales and purchases that fit into that period. Again, it just gives me a chance to review these, and then finally when I click on the finish button it processes that and generates a couple of reports for me. So we'll just take a look at these. The first one is a GST items report, so this lists all of the sales and purchase items that have gone into that return so that I have a clear audit trail if required. And of course the other report that is created, and this is the one that I'm most interested in, is actually my business activity statement. So this is laid out exactly the same as the ATO's online form, so literally I can print this out, go to the ATO website and enter these figures directly into the system. It's as simple as that. So finally, the real strength of a computerized bookkeeping system is in the reports that you can get from it. So in Ezybooks we've got a report library where the reports are grouped into 4 categories. So I've got trading accounts, cash accounts, GST reports, which we've just looked at, and office reports. So a good example of an office report is I want to know who owes me money, so I can chase them up. So the age of debt report, if I take a look at this, it will list me all of my unpaid sales invoices, the number of days that they're outstanding, and details of the transaction itself, along with the phone number of the customer that I need to call to chase that up. Another type of example of an office report is a simple transaction list. So with some reports you can specify filters. So in this case I want to specify particular date range. I want to look at just purchases that are against the motoring expense category, and I want to pick a particular supplier. So you can you can filter down the data as much as you want. It's just really useful when you're trying to track down an elusive invoice item. So if I go back to trading accounts, these are really my management reports. So again, another example here, I want to look at who are my best customers this year, my top 20 customers, and this report shows it in a nice graphical format. It allows me to see the relative size or relative revenue for each customer. So in addition to sales by customer, I may also want to look at how much I've spent with different suppliers, because maybe I want to try and negotiate a better discount rate with them. So my expenditure by supplier list gives me a very quick summary of how much I spent with my different suppliers over the time period that I've specified. Now I mentioned when we're doing data entry job codes. Job codes are quite useful because I can tag sales and expenditure to particular jobs, and this report then collates that information together and creates a simple gross margin figure for me. So if we go in, preview that report, you'll see I've got one lot of sales revenue and two lots of expenditure that I've tagged to a particular job, so I can see how much margin I've made on it. Well, thank you for taking the time to have a look at this demonstration. For more information, please visit our website or email us at the details on the screen. Thank you for your time.